This week on The Cone, we are talking about the real deal, no nonsense, vet approved ways to get weight off of your dog. It is easier said than done, but I got you covered. Let's get into it.
And now, the vet who should be fed with a measuring cup, Dr. Andy Roark.
Obesity in dogs is an epidemic. Did you know, based on research in golden retrievers, a dog that is of an ideal body weight or slightly thin lives on average 2 years longer than a dog that's even slightly overweight? That's true. So here's what you need to know to make sure that your dog is ready for bikini season. The first thing we have to do is know if our dog is getting overweight. What is ideal for your dog? How do you know? That's what people always ask me. Is my dog overweight? All right, there's two things that I pay a ton of attention to. I'm gonna teach them to you right now. Number one, it's all about the ribs. Go to your dog and put your hands on the side of his or her ribs and feel around. You should be able to feel the ribs under the skin really easily, right? I don't want to see them sticking out like Skeletor. That's too skinny. But you should feel them. If you have to press, even gently, through a layer in order to feel the ribs, that's fat, and that's too much. That means we need to come down in our weight. The other thing is, it's about the waist. In my dogs, I want to see a nice tuck to their waist. As dogs start to gain weight, that tuck disappears and they become more of a tube. If your dog is a tube, we need to get some weight off. So, the ribs and the waist. Be honest and pay attention. The easy shortcut to this is go to the vet for a regular checkup or even a special checkup and say to the vet directly, how much should my dog weigh? And she should give you a number, and now you have a number and you know where you are and where you need to go, and that's the first step in all of this. If you're serious about getting weight off your dog, you need to know what your dog weighs and what they should weigh. So let's figure that out first. Diet is obviously a huge part of weight loss. The first step in the diet is we gotta be honest. When you come in with your dog and you talk to me, I'm gonna say to you, listen, I need to know, what does your dog really eat in a day? Because I say, what does your dog eat? And they'll tell me a brand of a dog food, and that's great. But the truth is they get that dog food, and then they get some of this type of treat, and they get some of this type of treat, and then grandma is slipping her turkey under the table, and she has a little bit of whatever we have for dinner. That's different from my dog eats this dog food. What does your dog really eat? Where do the calories come from? Who besides you might be giving your dog food? Let's get a good inventory of all the calories coming in, and then let's start making some decisions. The first thing that we're gonna cut down on, and maybe even cut out, but generally at least cut down on, if we're serious about a diet, is treats, okay? Dog treats are great, and food is joy, but treats tank a diet, especially people food. People food is the absolute worst because people just don't realize how much calorie density that is for a little dog. Think about this. A tablespoon of peanut butter, just a spoon of peanut butter, that's 100 calories, guys. That is 1/2 of what a Chihuahua should eat in an entire day. Feeding from the table is thus a habit that we have got to cut out if you want to lose weight with your dog. Treats, other dog treats made especially for dogs. Breaking those things up into little pieces can be a huge way to save calories really easily. You don't have to give the dog biscuit just because it's a biscuit. You can break pieces off. Generally, our pets are so excited just to get a treat. The size of the treat doesn't really matter that much. We can just have a little bit. The best treats, they're vegetables. Guys, if your dog loves carrots, go with carrots. If your dog loves green beans, go with green beans. I know dogs that love broccoli. I know dogs that love ice. If your dog goes bonkers for ice, give them ice. It is a great diet food. I should go on an ice diet. And lastly, pick your treats well. I mean, if you're getting something that's sausagey versus a specifically low-fat dog biscuit, you know what choices you're making. Your dog doesn't get a vote at the grocery store. So if we need to be on a weight loss treat, there are lots of weight loss treats. And they may not smell as wonderful as the meaty, sausagey stuff, but that's part of being on a diet, and the long-term benefits outweigh not getting the most stinky treats. The last thing I'm going to say about treats is beware of your family. Often the hardest part of the whole diet thing is getting the other family members on board so they stop feeding from the table and doing stuff like that. It can be maddening, I understand, I know. The most effective approach I've seen is talking to family members about the health of your dog and saying, she needs to be on a diet for health reasons. I'm working with the vet. Please help me. And ask for help. Please help me. Those are the conversations that can sometimes get people to change their behavior. That's how I approach it. Be open. Ask them what they need from you. Tell them about the vegetables. Tell them about low-fat treats if you have stuff like that. Give them ways to interact with the dog if you need to. But ultimately, you're going to have to really recruit them into this process, or it's going to be an uphill battle. Good luck. The first and easiest thing to try with dog food is portion control. Do you know how much your dog is eating? Are you feeding with a measuring cup? And honestly, even better than a measuring cup is to feed with a gram scale like the hardcore nutrition people and bodybuilder people use to weigh their food. The cups aren't nearly as accurate as a scale, but if the cup is what you got, we can go with the cup. Measure out food, control portion size so we know how much our dog is taking in. Once we know how much your dog is eating, then the obvious question is how much should he be eating? People ask me that question all the time. The simple answer is, it depends entirely on the food. We've got a great Cone of Shame episode on dog food that goes deeper into this, but the shortcut version is the dog food you choose should let you know how much to feed to a dog of a given size. It should be on the packaging or at least on the website. There's two things to remember about using the labeling on the dog food container on the website in order to feed your dog. Number one, when you pick the weight out and say, how much does my dog weigh? That weight is your dog's ideal weight, not what your dog weighs now. So if your dog should be 70 pounds, but she's 85 pounds, feed her what it says to feed to a 70-pound dog because that's what we want her to be. That's number one. Number two, in my experience, the estimates that you get from dog foods are generally high. I usually tell people this is the top range. If you're gonna round down. So to start off, figure out how much food your dog should be taking in. And remember, this generally doesn't account for treats. Treats should not be more than 10% of your dog's calories. They should not. So they should be small things, not big sources of calorie. However, if you're going to feed treats or you know your dog's going to get treats, we need to come down even more from what is recommended by the dog food. Remember that these estimates also don't factor in your dog's activity level. A dog that weighs 50 pounds and is pure muscle and works out and runs all the time is going to burn a lot more calories and need more food than a dog that's 50 pounds and lays on the couch and doesn't do a whole lot. You're going to have to keep an eye on your dog and use what we talked about at the very beginning of the episode on assessing, is your dog too heavy? We're going to have to tinker and take some in and take some out and adjust the amount of food your dog's getting based on the results. If you have figured all this stuff out and your dog is just eating this little bit of food and is just starving, I see that and it's so pitiful. It may be time to change food. By switching to a food that's much higher in fiber, we can get a lot more bulk, the dog can eat more, they feel more full, and honestly, high fiber diets are kind of a staple of the weight loss diets. This is how a lot of those diets work. Some people talk about adding things like canned pumpkin or like even Metamucil to increase the fiber content in the food and sort of add bulk and things like that. The veterinarians that I talk to kind of roll their eyes at this. Their point is the amount of fiber you can get into the diet by changing to a high fiber diet is so much greater than the little bit that you get by adding little supplements and things like that. If your dog needs to be on a higher fiber diet, it's a whole lot easier to change to a diet that has higher fiber than it is to try to externally add this fiber. You're just not going to get to the same level. And the last thing we're going to talk about is exercise. You know how this works. Weight loss is all about the calories coming in through treats and food and the calories going out being burned by the body. If we increase exercise, we increase the calories being burned, and we're more likely to come out with weight loss at the end of the day. If your dog is young and healthy, this is super easy. It just requires the time and the dedication to make it happen. Think about things that you can do with your dog where he or she is working, and maybe you don't have to work so much. Throwing the ball. I like those Chuck It toys that will fling a ball if you've got a good area for that. Frisbees, all that kind of stuff. The dog park is a great place. Get the dog out, let them run and play and be free. If your dog is a sociable dog and enjoys that type of interaction, you go running, do whatever you need to do, but get out and burn those calories. Now, for a lot of us, that's hard to do. Sometimes we're really strapped for time. If this is a priority, we need to figure out how to make it happen. That may be having a dog walker come. That may be doggy daycare once or twice or a couple of times a week even. It's anything that we need to do to get those calories off and get them burned. It's a commitment, but it's worth it. If your dog is older or struggling with arthritis or things like that, I don't want you to make him or her run until he's sore. That's too much. Exercise is good. I need you to focus on exercise, but it may be shorter bouts of exercise, lower intensity exercise, just like we would with an older person. If you exercise your dog to the point that he or she limps or seems painful, we've done too much. I don't want inflammation. I don't want pain. We're gonna have to back the intensity down or back the duration down. Maybe we can't walk 3 miles anymore. Maybe we need to walk 1 mile a couple of times a day. Maybe we can't run and go swimming like we used to. Maybe we need to leash walk. We still need to be out and we need to exercise, but not to a level where it hurts. And that is our show. I hope that you got something out of this episode that's going to help you get your dog onto a diet that you both feel great about. If you've had success with dog weight loss, tell me about it in the comments. I want to hear, I want to know, maybe you can inspire other people. Guys, look out for each other. Take care of the other dog owners. And let's encourage each other to do what's best for our pets. Until next time, let's be the people that our dogs deserve.